Hey everybody, welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go. Perfect. And finally, it's been nice to finally get you locked down. I don't know why my Google Calendar wasn't working properly, but nice to finally get you on the show. So welcome. How's Denver today?
Denver's good today. The sun just came out. It was a little chilly this morning. We got about 4 inches. Can you hear me?
Oh wait, got you back. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me okay? Yep.
Yeah, got you now. Don't know why it just came out a little bit. But I was just asking you, how's Denver today? You're in Colorado, correct?
Yeah, in Denver, it is beautiful out today. The sun's out. We got about 4 inches of powder yesterday, so snow on the mountains. I went for a run early this morning with the sun rising, and we're at 6,000 feet, about 25 minutes from downtown Denver. And it's just a beautiful place to be. The mountains are our backyard.
Yeah, mate. It does look. Whenever I look at your videos on Instagram, they always look. Yeah, it looks pristine. It's somewhere that I've always wanted to go. Actually, obviously Colorado is famous for the skiing. I want to go because of that, and also watched many documentaries on the old Denver Broncos, the Mile High. So I've always been interested.
Yeah.
But you've got like in England today, we do get crisp days, but we also get gloomy days, and it's not really for me. Whereas my girlfriend's from California, so I'm there quite a lot, and it's much nicer, crisp, clear days. So it's great. Especially if you want to train, it's much nicer. You feel better when the sun's out, right? Even if it's colder, it makes you feel better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also being at elevation, it's crazy here. Our backyard is south facing, so we have sun pretty much all day. And in the sun, it feels 15 degrees warmer than if you're in the shade, just because of the elevation. The sun is so intense. So, we'll often be hiking mountains with our shirt off in the middle of winter when it's 30 degrees out, and it's not savage. We're sweating. Like, it literally is hot from the sun.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say, I remember I've seen some of your clips of doing that. I was thinking, and then again, I remember that when I was skiing in those sort of conditions, sometimes you're just in a t-shirt because it is like hot when you get up that high up. But it's 6,000 feet you are above, yeah, because it's mile high, right? So it's 6,000 feet. So that must be awesome for your training. Is that one of the reasons you moved there?
It's great for training. The reason I moved here is just access to nature. It's in every direction. The environment, the people here, they just beg you to be outside all the time. So that's really why I moved here. I'm from upstate New York, and I grew up with cold, gray winters, snow on the ground all winter. The sun very rarely peeked out, and here the sun is out almost every day. So it does snow, but it melts within a day or two from when we get it in Denver area. In the mountains, it stays all winter. And there's just like access to so much. You have the mountains, you have skiing, but a lot of Colorado is desert. So amazing mountain biking, and the fall is really pretty here with the leaves changing, and you can pick your climate based on the elevation you go to. So if it's 95 in Denver in the summer, you can go an hour away up to 10,000 feet and it'll be 78 degrees. So it's cool to have so much, so many different things you can do based on the elevation that you're at and the climate you're at.
No, and it does look awesome. It's one of the places I actually definitely want to visit. That and Montana. I've got friends in Montana, but California's got loads of places as well in terms of Big Bear, etc. that you can go to. Having that nature on your doorstep is something that it's one of the things I will get into, obviously, around health and wellness, and like you're in obviously hyper wellness, which is like a name I hadn't heard of until I come across your page. But it's something for me, being in nature, being around nature is super important. So if I'm in England, I have to be near the woods or the forest, and when I'm in America, California, we're right by the beach. Like, it's important to me to be by the beach. I just feel like grounded there. Wherever it is, you feel like, especially in today's world where there's just so much electromagnetic frequencies around, and other environmental toxins. It just really grounds me, and yeah, it's especially if you're into health, wellness. I think having nature on your doorstep is pretty important. You said you're upstate New York, so that quite a lot of nature there.
There was definitely a lot of nature there, but with the sun not being out, it wasn't as pleasant to be outside all the time. And, different, there's no mountains really. You have the Adirondack Mountains, but that was about 3.5 hours from where I was. We had some smaller lakes that were close by, but the terrain here, there's just trails everywhere for mountain biking and hiking and rucking and trail running and cross country skiing and downhill skiing. It's like everywhere is trails. And, upstate New York was more, I was doing everything on roads. I wasn't mountain biking. I wasn't running through the forest. I was, running in the country, but I was running on roads all the time.
Yeah. Also, so Colorado, did you look around? Was it always on your radar? Like, why did you pick there over some, for example, like California or any other state, like Texas, for example? Why did you pick Colorado?
Yeah, California was on my radar. I was looking in Venice, Santa Monica. I love that area. But I came to Colorado in 2017. I was invited by a friend to stay with he and his family. And that trip, I was hiking Mount Sanitas every day in Boulder, Colorado. I found a great CrossFit gym, and I fell in love with the people in Colorado. Everyone here is just really happy.
Nice. Yeah.
Because, they're getting so much outdoor exercise. They're getting so much sunlight and vitamin D. And, people choose to be here where I was from, most people are, born and raised. They, their family is there, their job is there, and that's the reason they're there. It's not as much for their hobbies per se. So, I just like the vibe and the energy when I came out here. And the story is my second trip to Colorado, shortly after my first trip in 2017, I was out to dinner with some friends I had been introduced to that went to Syracuse University, and they were telling me about a townhouse they had next to the Broncos Stadium in Denver, and that one of their housemates had recently moved out, and they had this roof space and 1 bedroom available. So city unseen, I hadn't been to Denver yet, and townhouse unseen, I said, I'll take it. So I bought a motorcycle the next day, and for a year, that was my primary means of transportation, was a motorcycle in Colorado. And subsequently, a year later, I ended up moving a lot of my stuff from upstate New York out here. And then in 2021, I sold my place in Syracuse, and we just bought a place here February of this year.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because your place now looks pretty decked out. It looks pretty phenomenal. From what it looks
it's like. Great.
Yeah, like just your training setup. It's gorgeous. Looking out amongst nature. But you have to shut it down outside from about now right until maybe April. Would you say? Do you have to move everything inside or not?
You really don't. I'm going to cover my stuff. I might move some stuff inside. We have a heated garage, but. Even when it's like 40 degrees and sunny, which is common in the wintertime, like you can work out outside. It's plenty warm. So, the only days that you wouldn't want to do stuff outside is if it had just snowed or if it's in 20 degrees or below.
That's what I was thinking. I was just thinking more about really like the snowfall, really, because it would just be like they might just get covered in snow. Because it looks like you get
it just melts so quick.
Oh, does it? Yeah. Okay.
It melts really quick.
It seems like a real interesting place. Somewhere I've definitely on my radar to go and to visit. It looks gorgeous. In fact, when I was younger, I used to watch a show called Everwood, which was filmed there. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks. But it's like any skiing place, always, or anywhere that has skiing, those mountain ranges. It's just picturesque. They're some of my favourite times of the year. Even when it's cold but it's crisp, the skies are blue. It just feels. It's like invigorating. So I understand why you live there, and so just because I want people to know a bit more about you, Eric. Okay, because I've been in the health industry for like 13, 14 years, and I have people I follow, people I listen to, and then every now and again someone comes to my radio. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? I haven't heard of Eric before, because usually I've heard of quite a lot of people. I come across your stuff probably about 6 months ago. And I was like, right, this guy, he's an interesting character, and started looking around, and I really liked the information you put out. And then when you learn about your story, obviously on one of your posts you said that you got into hyper wellness, or you changed your life about 15 years ago, or maybe a bit more.
15 years ago.
I wanted to know 15 years ago, I wanted to know your backstory. What was it that got you into? You seem like you've always had an athletic background. Maybe that's not right, but it seems like it. So what was it that got you into wellness? Did you have any illness, or was it literally like you just wanted to feel the best that you could?
Yeah, so I played three sports in high school. I played basketball, I ran cross country, and I ran track. I played 1 year of basketball in college, sitting the bench mainly. I think I got in for about 30 seconds at the end of one game. And I got into weightlifting in college, but very vanity based, bench press and bicep curls and shoulders and triceps, wasn't doing anything super functional. And after college, my first business, I was driving 50,000 miles a year, sitting in a car, and I wasn't educated on health and wellness. I didn't really understand, nutritious foods. I didn't understand purposeful exercise. I just kind of was a high school athlete. So in my mid-20s, I found myself pretty out of shape from sitting so much and, eating Subway and, having pizza and just not paying attention to my diet and not really paying tremendous attention to working out. I was maybe working out 4 days a week for 30 minutes, but again, just doing bench press and, more vanity-based exercises. So I hired a personal trainer in my mid to late 20s, and he got me into doing CrossFit type workouts before I knew what CrossFit was. So, I was squatting and deadlifting and doing thrusters and pressing movements, and in between sets, he would have me run laps on a track. And over a 2-year period, I started to really lean out, and, I could see some definition in my abs, and I was pretty stoked on the progress. And around that same time, I had started running again, and a bunch of my friends in Syracuse, New York had purchased these really cool looking bikes with 4 handlebars, and I was intrigued. And I'm like, what is that bike? I mean, why do you have those middle handlebars, and why do you ride it like that? So they told me they had signed up for a half Ironman, and I'm like, what's that? They're like, it's a triathlon, and they told me the distances, and I'm like, you're going to bike 56 miles and then run 13 after, and you're going to swim a mile? That sounds crazy. But I was intrigued by it. So I started swimming in a pool. I had no swimming background, and, swam enough to learn how to swim with my face in the water and breathe correctly. And, I had the running background, so that wasn't an issue. Biking came pretty fast because I was doing a lot of leg dominant exercises in the gym. And my first sprint triathlon, I almost drowned in the swim, but I passed a lot of people on the bike and passed more people on the run. And it was just really empowering. And it reminded me of entrepreneurship in that your results are directly correlated to how much purposeful practice you put in. It's just sets and reps. You control your destiny with it. There's no genetic gifts really in triathlon. It's really just a grunt work sport. So I like that about it. So I signed up for another sprint, and I signed up for an Olympic distance, and then a half Ironman. And I did my first half Ironman in 2010. And after the race, I told my girlfriend at the time that I'm never doing this again. And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, I think I might do a full Ironman next year. So sign up, do a full Ironman. I missed qualifying for the Ironman World Championships by 1 spot and 1 minute. My time was 10 hours, and the final Kona qualifier got 9:59. And I saw the age on his leg when he passed me at mile 25. I didn't know what place I was in, but I thought at the time, like, that might be my Kona spot, and sure enough, it was. So, that was my motivation to do it again. The following year, I qualified for Kona, the World Championships, had a horrible race in Kona, so then motivation to do it again another year, and then I had a great race in Lake Placid, great race in Kona. And after that, so now we're talking 2015, my triathlon stint was like 2010 to 2014. 2015, I started losing like my passion for the sport. I had really accomplished what I wanted. I was known now as this elite amateur Ironman athlete. And the only reason I was continuing to train the long, 20-hour days or 20-hour weeks was because I kind of had that name now, and that was my badge of honor. Yeah. So 2015, 2016 were transitionary years of, backing out of triathlon, but trying to find my way with, just being a guy who loves working out a lot. And, ultimately, I found social media kind of found me. I started building a following on social media, and then was able to start working with various brands to, leverage all of the knowledge that I learned and the audience I had gained through the Ironman years. But, more than anything, through that time period of 2010 to 2015, with all of the long training sessions, the long runs, the long bike rides, it really unlocked this tremendous mental clarity for me of like how I wanted my life to be. Almost like I've never done any psychedelic drugs or, done any of the ayahuasca retreats, but, my friends that have, I kind of related to that. I'm like, I got that through exercise because I was out there biking for 5 hours and I was out there running for 2.5 hours by myself and just had a lot of like solitude and space to be able to like, formulate thoughts. And I also realized that I was becoming the best version of myself. I didn't need, alcohol anymore to fuel vulnerability or to make me feel like I was the life of the party. I got it through exercise. When I finished up a run, I had this tremendous high and like I had tremendous energy and mental clarity. And I'm like, I'll go, public speak right now. I feel great. So I feel like those years really taught me that exercise, a proper diet, getting enough sleep, ultimately sauna, cold exposure, all of these things, they allow you to have tremendous mental clarity, tremendous energy, emotional well-being, stress resilience. And, through that time period after Ironman, that's ultimately what I landed on is I'm like, I'm doing this because it's making me the best version of myself. I don't need to compete. I don't need to say I beat someone in a race. I just want to be the best version of myself. So, those years formed that, but, it took me checking my ego and, just really doing it because it's soul fulfilling as opposed to, competitive.
Yeah, because I want to go through where you are now with things, but just touching on that, because there's a couple of things you brought up, and this is, and this is where I'd like to say to the audience as well, because I think it's a quite a powerful thing to dive into. When you've had that reputation as like a elite amateur Ironman, and you're known for it, and it's like basically your identity, because people like probably respect you for it. How hard was it to let that go and to be like, on to the next thing? Because there's a lot of people, I've had it myself with certain bits in my business. I'm like, people expect you to do this, but it ends up hurting you because you're holding on to things you don't actually align with anymore. So how hard was that?
Yeah, it was really hard. I mean, it was a good 1 to 2 years of soul searching to like give it up and give up the expectations that others had of me and just do what I wanted to do and live my life the way I wanted to live my life and not succumb to pressure from others. So it was tough. It was very tough. I can't imagine, being a pro athlete and having a fame associated with that. Like, when you want to hang the sneakers up, like it's tough to do that because that is your identity. And that's how you relate to the world, is being this elite athlete. So yeah, it was very tough, but ultimately it was just like being mindful of, what was giving me positive energy and what was making me the best version of myself. And, it wasn't those long 20-hour weeks of running, biking, and swimming anymore. It was a more balanced exercise approach and also just a more balanced lifestyle. Because, with Ironman to get to Kona, like you got to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice travel. You have to have a really structured day, especially, if you're juggling a bunch of balls like businesses or, I didn't have a family, but if you had a family, glass balls you can't drop, like you got to sacrifice a lot of stuff to make time for all of those training hours. And then also like you're tired at night. You don't want to go out to dinner. You don't want to go out for drinks. Like at 5:30, you want to go to bed.
So was it like a gradual thing, or was there like a moment where you're like, right, you know what, actually this is just like not me anymore, I need to change this? Or was it like gradually you changed it?
It was gradual. The onset of it where, I just I didn't look forward to workouts. And that just came gradually, where I would like once a week dread a run. Then it was twice a week dreading a run. And then it was 4 times a week dreading the runs. And then it was signing up for a race and not going to the race because I wasn't looking forward to it. And, that's when I was like, all right, why am I doing this still? Like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm just living out this identity. This isn't really what I want to be doing right now. And then, it was definitely a gradual shift into where I am now of not caring about competing and not caring about the perception of being an athlete and caring more about just like having a really full cup so I can give back to others.
Yeah, no, that's when it's always like when you get to that point where you're like, this is, it's happened with me with certain points. I'm like, this is actually doing no one any favors because I'm not showing up. I'm not my energy, obviously, when I'm showing up, even though I'm showing up, it's not going to be what I want to project to the world because I'm not fully in this. And then it's not doing me any favors because, you know, it's not who I am anymore. And so it's just important for people listening to understand that, because there's a lot of people, you know, they staple their identity to maybe a job or a sport, or it could be anything, like, oh, I'm the giver. And sometimes, you know, you need to take care of yourself, and that's your yes only has value when you learn to say no. And so it's just an important thing, especially for someone who's been like successful, to say that. It's a powerful story to share. I also want to get onto how you found. I might go into that now, actually, but because I want to go into what you're doing, like you go into high rocks and stuff. Because I've just got friends who compete in that as well, actually. But what you said there was really interesting. It's something that I've done before, and I actually wanted to get into it because you do a lot of training and a lot of yang. You have a lot of yang in your life, Eric. So do I. I know it seems like you're a fire type, and you found the yin. Yeah, you found the yin in the running, like the solace and the biking, the hours. And so you found a yin practice through doing yang. Okay, so it's almost like so much yang and then turns into yin. So I was going to ask you, because you mentioned there, obviously, the mind. Is there anything that you do day to day that are more yin practices? Because if you don't follow Eric, I will put all these his Instagram channels, etc. You can follow him later on, but you'll see his feed on Instagram is very training based, nutrition based, and lots of things like that. You do recovery, but what are your yin practices, Eric, and things that you maybe incorporated now that you didn't used to?
Yeah. I mean, I call those things moving meditation. So for me, it's going for a run alone in the mountains. It's going for a bike ride alone in the mountains, a mountain bike ride alone in the mountains. That's when I get my solitude. I also get a deep tissue massage at least every other week, sometimes once a week. So that's my 90 minutes to like completely tune out and just reflect. But yeah, my yin practices are my yang practices. I just make sure I do them in solitude. I do them by myself. I do them outside in the mountains, and that's often where my best ideas are formed and I have the most mental clarity, is when I'm doing those activities. And then also like some sauna sessions, cold plunge sessions. I do those alone to reflect, but you know, I'm also very extroverted, so I feel like I need a balance of human connection and deep conversations with people, and then, you know, solitude and activities that I enjoy doing alone.
When you're doing those activities alone, have you got music in, or is it just completely like just no noise, just you and the road? Excuse me, you and the bike.
I play one song on repeat, typically a hip hop song or some kind of like techno or house music. And yeah, I listen to one song on repeat whenever I go out, and it puts my mind in a trance. I don't know elapsed time. I don't know how much time I have remaining. It's just, I'm in the moment. I'm completely present.
Did someone teach you to do that, or is that something you come up with yourself? It's interesting.
No, I just started doing it myself, and you know, since doing it, I've realized others do it as well. Or you know, people who listen to jazz music, like some kind of repetitive beat when they're writing. But yeah, there's definitely something to it of putting you in just the moment, putting you in flow state.
No, that's interesting. I myself, I completely understand going for walks, going for runs without anything in, just completely clear your head. But it's an interesting. I might give that a go. One song on repeat, just to see how it works. So because right now, you know, you competed for Ironman, then I think you went into CrossFit. Was that correct? And now you're at High Rocks. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in CrossFit and High Rocks at the same time.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, I mean, and for people out there, High Rocks is similar sort of thing to CrossFit, although it's actually, whereas CrossFit, you don't know what workouts come in. High Rocks, they have like a format, which is like a 1K run. And then you have like a sled push, a sled pull, I think pull ups or whatever. So it's like a formatted thing. It's pretty much like the new kid on the block, and it's getting quite a lot of traction, right?
It is. It's really fun. You know, it combines a lot of CrossFit strengths. So, you know, you need some strength to do it. You definitely need an aerobic engine to do it. You need an anaerobic engine to do it. You know, in CrossFit, you use a lot of the machines and do a number of the exercises that are in the event, but you have to be a good runner. And a lot of CrossFit athletes don't run a lot. So, you know, that's where it brings in triathletes and obstacle course racers and Spartan racers, because, you know, they do blend running with strength training. There's nothing technical in it. There's no Olympic lifting. There's no gymnastics. So it's really just kind of raw strength, aerobic capacity, and anaerobic capacity. The time domain is about an hour. So, you know, it doesn't take up your entire day. You just show up with a pair of shoes. It's not like triathlon where you need tons of fancy gear and a lot of stuff can go wrong on race day. Like, you know, not much can really go wrong on race day. It's just show up and perform. So that's what I like about it. And it allows me to train exactly the way I want to. I enjoy CrossFit. I train like a CrossFit athlete, but I also do a lot of aerobic stuff. I run I run 3 to 4 days a week. And then this time of year, I'm biking maybe 2 times per week. And then in the summer, when I can bike more, I'll bike 5 days per week and run 2 days per week. So I do a lot of aerobic activity still. So it blends the things I like to do really, really well. And CrossFit, you know, I do the open every year. I get close each year in my age group of getting to the games, but I'm still just not quite there with strength. Like, you just have to be so damn strong now to get to the CrossFit games.
Yeah, they all look a similar sort of size, like 5'10", 5'11", just like barrels, really, the CrossFit athletes. Whereas, like, the High Rocks, they said before, it's a bit more aerobic based. With how old are you now? If you don't mind me asking. Are you like Masters category or not?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Masters category. I'm 42. 42.
Okay, yeah. So I think what's the Masters category for High Rocks? Is it the same as CrossFit or not?
Same as CrossFit, yeah. I mean, you can compete in the open elite division, but they break it out into age groups, and they don't really have a masters category per se. They just at every race they have, you know, age group results. Yeah,
and the thing is with High Rocks, because you know the way it's set out, it's almost like training for an Olympic event. So it's like, whereas CrossFit, you don't know what's coming up. With High Rocks, you can actually sort of train for it. But one of my friends, I don't know if you've come across her, Jade Skillett. She's she's got a good following on this now. She's, I think she came third. They had one in London a few days ago for High Rocks in London. She came third in the women's overall. And one of my other friends, Gary Rothwell, he won the Masters last year. I think it was in Vegas. Got some friends in it. So actually good to put you guys in touch.
Yeah, please.
But it seems like it's, if I play a lot of sports myself, so like my cardio is like playing football, play like 2-3 times a week. I do a lot of Muay Thai or boxing, and I get in the gym and lift. But for these things, if I didn't do that, these sort of things would be on my radar. They look like they're a lot of fun, you know, and it gives you a reason to run, because a lot of people, as you said before, they can go in the gym, they do vanity weights. But there's a lot of people they're carrying excess weight. You know, people aren't moving enough. Even people that go in the gym, they might move a few weights around, but they're not moving their bodies enough. And we're not meant to be sedentary. We're meant to be like moving, you know. And so every day I'll do a lift or a run or play a sport, and I'll do a walk, and at least an hour a day. And people need to understand how good that is for mentally, but physically, moving your lymph system, detoxifying. And so, having looked at yourself, Eric, do you train every day? And if you do, what does that look like? I know you've mentioned the different cardios, but do you lift in most days? And what's your health, or your physical regime, and also your maybe like other health regime aspects that you put in there, like your sauna and ice bath, etc.?
Yeah, so I do train every day. You know, I very rarely take a full day off. It would mainly only be if travel gets in the way, or the day before or the day after some kind of competition. So 5 days a week, I'm doing CrossFit type training. I'm in the gym at 8:30 for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And it's a warm up, strength training, Olympic lifting, anaerobic conditioning, CrossFit Metcons, or like HIIT type intervals on, you know, an assault bike, rower, ski erg, and then accessory work and gymnastics. So I do those sessions indoors at a gym. And then 7 days a week, I do something aerobic outside: mountain biking, road road cycling, trail running, rucking, hiking, and that generally is between 60 to 90 minutes. My 2 back off days are like today. Today I just ran for 30 minutes this morning. I might do like another 30-minute easy cardio session outside later this afternoon. And then Sundays, usually I just do something aerobic lighter, maybe 60 minutes. But yeah, most days are 90-ish minutes in the morning and then 60 minutes in the afternoon of aerobic outdoor activity.
And so I was just going to say, just for like, do you feel that your body recovers? You get sore? I mean, you probably go into like the ways it does recover now, but just because you train quite a lot, do you feel sore?
I feel sore if I do something at a very high intensity. If I run too far, I kind of have to do something out of the norm to get sore now. And I mean, so much of why I don't get sore is because I have a religious recovery routine. Every night at 4 p.m., we're hosting people here at the house and we're doing 3 rounds of 20 minutes in a hot barrel sauna at 200 degrees and then 5 minutes in an ice barrel at 40 to 45 degrees. So, I mean, that was a game changer. I started doing that 5 years ago, and by doing that every night, it just, it rids your body of a lot of the inflammation that's built up.
Mm-hmm. So you do that every day, yeah, for people out there, every day sauna, 20 minutes and then 5 minutes ice bath 3 times. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and I mean, when did you say, how long have you been doing that for? 5 years?
5 years. Yep.
Yeah. And so before that, was you doing any sauna? Was it more sporadic? And like, if I said to you, like, what's been the biggest, the most noticeable changes or thing you've noticed made the biggest difference to you? Would it be the ice and the sauna?
Yeah, definitely. The ice in the sauna and, bang for your buck wise. If you sit in cold water for 3 to 5 minutes, like the benefits you're going to get from that are insane. Mm-hmm. And it's way beyond physical benefits. It's a major mood boost. It relieves stress. You can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you go sit in cold water for 5 minutes. And after that, you're like, life's great. Yeah. So, I mean, that's more of why I do it is it's just, I got a busy day and I got a lot of to-dos and a lot of people, reaching out and a lot of people that I'm responding to. And yeah, by doing that every day, it just keeps me really level-headed of, my days are accomplishable, instead of feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's, I mean, ice bath and the sauna, they've got so many benefits. The ice bath, I mean, a lot of people would rather have their organs cut out than take an ice bath or an ice shower, but they understood how powerful they are for clearing the mind, for energy, for vitality, for sexual function, for immune system. I mean, it's just like it's incredible. And so, yeah, doing that every day, I was big component of that. With myself, always have a cold shower, 2 to 5 minutes every day. Sauna, I haven't got my own yet, so I get about 2-3 times a week, but it sounds like an awesome schedule to have. 4 p.m. every day to go into the sauna and ice bath and get that rotation. It's a nice thing. You can do that with people around, having a community feel there. It's that's nice. Rather than people always like to come around for, in our society, it's like, I'll come around for a drink. It's like, no, I'll come around for a sauna and ice bath. It's like it's a cool thing to do. And so I was going to say, I mean, you can tell like from the way you look as well compared to how you look when you're doing your Ironman, like your body's much leaner, much more svelte, I would say. I mean, do you feel better now than you did then, or how would you compare that?
Yeah, I definitely feel better now. I mean, I felt smashed towards the end of those Ironman years just from the high volume of highly repetitive activities. And I feel way better now, lifting heavy, doing anaerobic efforts. I was strength training then, but not as much as I strength train now. And I was doing very little anaerobic effort back then. I got to a point where, 85% of my training was just in zone 2. So yeah, I feel much healthier, more energy. I'm not like exhausted at the end of the day like I was in those Ironman years. I have energy right up until my head hits the pillow at night. So yeah, I think Ironman, I'm so glad I did it. Like I do think there's a time and place to do things like that are very extreme in nature. I think it teaches you a lot of things that you can apply to other areas of life, building businesses and being a good dad, being a good husband. It just teaches you like grit, resilience, how to set mini goals to achieve this, monumental goal. So I'm so glad I did it, but I'm also glad that I didn't make a lifestyle out of it, because I didn't feel my best. My testosterone levels had gotten pretty low from the high volume of just aerobic activity. I lost quite a bit of muscle mass during those years, and cortisol was high just from the extreme stress you're putting on your body from all of the running and biking. And it's just a lot of stress on your nervous system. So I feel much better now. I'm stoked with the way that, I look forward pretty much every single day to all of the workouts, where back then, it got to a point where I only look forward to 10% of the workouts. So that's not the right way to do it. Like, it shouldn't be a checklist item. You should be enjoying your movement, your recovery routines, the environment you're in, the people you're around, every day.
Yeah, and what you mentioned there, of course, like these things, they will teach you, like sport does, these long adventures in nature, definitely teaches you like about life, getting through things when it's hard. And I've heard a story about, your finger, which you probably told a million times. So people want to probably go back and listen to other interviews Eric's done, but he basically come close to amputating your finger, right, in one race, and you continue to
my finger's stuck like that.
But you pushed through, and you made the time, and you got to the race, and it was like, it was something we have to do in life. Sometimes you have to dig in and go through it, even though it's very, very painful, and that's something that you learn these things. But you mentioned there about as well about how the training affected your body. What was your eating like then compared to now as well? Because especially for someone, I'm quite active myself. I know my routine. I like to have things that are easy to digest in a day. So what I mean, comparatively, what was your diet like then compared to now? And also, now how do you go about eating when you're super active?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my diet was vastly different then. It was a high-fat diet, lots of vegetables, very little, if any, red meat, chicken, fish for protein, eggs for protein, but it was very heavy on vegetables, avocado, nuts and seeds. And, the reason for that was wanting to teach my body to burn fat for fuel, to be pretty close to ketosis, because your fat fuel tank is way up here, your carb fuel tank is way down here. And if you can teach your body to efficiently burn fat for fuel, you can go, much farther at an aerobic heart rate without burning through carbs and having to continuously replenish carbs. So that was my reasoning for doing that back then. And now my diet is much heavier with protein. I'm eating about a gram per pound. So I weigh 180. So I'm trying to get in about 180 grams of protein every day, definitely higher carb. Now I build my calories, and I always have. So I have my lighter meals in the morning, and I have my heavier meals in the evening. And that's more for mental clarity. I've just realized that for me, there's a direct correlation between food volume and mental clarity. If I eat too much, I don't have very good mental clarity. I don't have good energy. I just feel kind of sleepy because your energy is going to breaking down the food. So, in the morning, I generally either have eggs and some kind of sausage, or I have smoothies. And then in the evening, that's generally when I do either steak, burgers, chicken thighs, salmon. And then for carbs, I do potatoes or rice. And, we eat 95% of the time here at the house. So we control exactly what's going into our system. We're cooking it. And, so just more protein heavy now, focusing some on carbs, but really focusing on just getting a lot of protein in throughout the day, because my training is different. I do a lot more strength training. I do a lot more anaerobic conditioning now. And back then it was mainly all just aerobic conditioning. Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that your physique looks better. I mean, I've noticed myself, the more I increase my protein, my physique just looks better. I mean, it's more, you feel satiated longer as well, but your body obviously it does adapt to it. And I'm exactly the same. I like to eat very light in the day. I'll have smoothies, etc. Easy to break down. It's easy to digest. And then in the evening the same. I feel exactly the same when it comes to working. If you've got to train, or you've got to work, you don't want to be like the sleepy overeater. You want to be the person who's energized, got mental clarity. And I always feel like that when I'm at my either empty or not super full. So I completely agree with that. I mean, for people out there, because it's why maybe even studies have even shown this. Like 75% of the work in the workplace gets done before lunch. After lunch, 25% gets done because people are in a food coma. It's like knowing what to eat and when, it makes a big difference, especially if you want to train later in the day. I mean, I just want to switch things up a bit here, Eric, as well, because one of the things that you do, you said you build brands, and I think you said you retired at the age of 34. Was that correct? So was that always your plan? Was it always to retire early, or how did that come about? And when you say you retired, do you mean, can you still, obviously you work, but do you mean retired from your old job and you see this is not even work anymore? Or dive into that for me, because it's interesting. 34 is a young age, so you've obviously done well.
Yeah, I mean, so that was the last time that I had a desk job where, I had to be at a certain time at a certain place doing something. I had sold my shares in a software company then and no longer was going to the office, and it was 2014. And my days at that time had been very much built around self-care protocols, exercise and recovery. So when I say retired at 34, it was more no longer in, the common, I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and then play in the weekends. And I mean, honestly, from 2014 until 2018, I did have a lot of flexibility in my day. I still owned my insurance business, but I had someone managing it. And, I wasn't working with nearly as many brands as I work with now. So my days were very much built around just enjoying Colorado and being out in nature and exercising as much as I wanted to. The last 4 years, my plate has gotten pretty full again. And to say I'm retired right now would be a misstatement. I'm definitely working a lot now, but it's all stuff I enjoy. I'm very careful with who I pick to work with. I'm careful with, the things I say yes to, investments I say yes to, partnerships I say yes to, co-founding companies, all of that stuff. I used to say yes too often, and you have to, you live and learn. So now I kind of understand what is going to be a time suck down the road and what is something I might not enjoy and what is something I might be pigeonholing myself into and what is something that I truly want to do and build out. So like, for example, in 2023, retreats is a big priority. I want to co-host a bunch of retreats. I want to host a bunch of retreats, and I want to do more in-person stuff. Instead of just, inspiring people and sharing knowledge digitally, I want to do it in person and really affect people. So that's a priority. And, the brand deals the last 4 years, I've really figured out my niche within that world of, I've built businesses myself. I've co-founded businesses. I've invested in businesses. I've amassed an incredible network of humans along the way. So for most of the brands I'm working with, I'm helping them build out their ambassador programs. I'm doing a lot more than just posting a picture and thinking I'm going to move the needle by doing that. So seeding product for them, building the ambassador team, helping them with communications. I'm doing, in-person events for them. So yeah, just doing everything I can, again, to provide ROI. Like being a business owner and having paid marketing dollars, I understand that if I'm spending money, I want to make more money back. So, I put that hat on whenever I sign a new deal, and I'm like, can I provide a return on investment for this brand? And is it going to be something that authentically fits into my day that is going to add value for my audience?
100%. And on that, actually, I've got something to share with you, which we'll talk about. But this is interesting for people because there's a lot of people in the health industry, who are not really business savvy. And especially in the natural health world, it's almost like money seen as like evil. It's like, no, money in evil hands is evil. Money in good hands is fantastic for everyone, because there's a lot of evil people in the world who've got a lot of money. We need to get their money into good people's hands. And so getting people to understand that. And so, for example, everything you're talking about there, you're putting your energy into brands that align with you. You're putting energy into brands that align with, your values and how you want to see the world, which I always say, if you want to change the world, I mean, we could go into like a little bit into politics here, but not really. It's always say like, when you vote, has it really made a difference? But the way you really make a difference is how you show up in the world, and also what you put your money into. Because if you stop buying refined, processed, rubbish Franken foods, they'll stop producing them. But when you put your money into high quality, nutritious foods, biodynamic farming, etc., you're going to get more of it. So it's great to hear that you're doing that and helping these people spread their message. But so when you started, so you made money in insurance, and that freed you up to get into this stuff, because it seems like for a lot of people that can sometimes be the route, you know, the prostitute archetype, doing work you not really, well, maybe you loved it, but sometimes people do work they're not really enamored by, but it allows them to then go into what they love. Is that how it worked for you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my dad gave me an incredible opportunity right out of college to build an insurance agency, and, you know, it was residual income and an asset. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity and that he pointed me in that direction, you know, right out of college. I did that for 7 years and built up enough of a book of business and residual income that I was able to then start taking some risks in, you know, co-founding other companies or starting other companies and investing in other companies. So, but yeah, that was the foundation for everything, was that insurance business. And yeah, that's a message I always tell young people getting into the workforce is, you know, if you're going to have a surviving chapter, you know, maybe doing something that you don't truly enjoy, at least try and pick an opportunity where you're not just trading time for money. Pick an opportunity where you can build residual income, and pick an opportunity where you can hopefully build an asset.
Yeah, 100%. And then investing is like something that, you know, try and talk to people about a lot here as well, because I think it was Robert Kiyosaki's book. He was basically summing it up with like, poor people see money as to buy things, middle classy see, or also it should be not poor people, but working class, money to buy things, middle class, money to buy time, the rich, money to make more money. And investing is a huge one. And so, which was that something that you learnt yourself how to invest, or did your dad give you advice on that, or how did you learn about investing?
Yeah, my dad taught me all of that at a young age. He managed a small mutual insurance company. So, you know, he was managing the money for the business, investing it in stocks and bonds and treasuries. So, yeah, I learned at a very young age how to do that. And, you know, he also, again, gave me some really good opportunities of, you know, right away being invested in a 401k plan. And as soon as I went off on my own, making sure that I was investing the max amount into a SEP IRA each year. And, you know, then along the way, I started to, you know, meet other savvy investors and entrepreneurs, especially when I was in the tech space for 4 years, from 2010 to 2014. You know, that really opened my eyes to investing in private companies and, you know, companies raising rounds of money and being invited to participate in that.
And so when you've moved into like you said, like a brand ambassador, I suppose, is it like, or you're working with these brands, how many brands? I mean, so you use them yourself, you promote them yourself, but have you founded any yourself?
I have founded several restaurants and a gym back in upstate New York. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't founded any consumer brands though.
Okay.
All of the brands that I work with now or am invested in, I'm not a co-founder for any of them. Right. Been involved really early in a lot of them, but not in a co-founding role.
And what were the ones? I mean, so for example, you've got ones for supplements, clothing. You've got all different. Are they all health and fitness based, or some in entertainment, or how would you describe them?
The majority of them are health and wellness based. They're either nutrition, they're, you know, athletic apparel, shoes, recovery products, self-care products. Yeah, very few are outside of that realm. Good Life Clothing is fashion. You know, some travel brands maybe, but most of them are, within sleep, nutrition, performance, recovery.
And what ones do you use? Or as I say, people can find these on your Instagram page, right? You're all linked into all these on your Instagram page?
Yeah, they're all on my Instagram page, the brands I work with. And the ones I've invested in are Kane sneakers, active recovery sneakers, Beam, sleep products, CBD products, 10,000, the apparel brands, Ice Barrel, the cold exposure barrels that we use.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Yeah, they're really good.
They've got. Do you do any of the ambassadors for any saunas?
I do, yeah. Sisu Sauna, the barrel sauna that we have at the house.
Right.
They're made in Ohio. They're great.
So I haven't actually looked into them myself. I've only seen them, the barrel shaped ones. I've looked at like Clear Light myself, but obviously they're plastic free, etc. They pretty clean, non-toxic.
Oh yeah. It's all wood. It's Western red cedar, then a Hum heater that's made in Estonia with lava rocks. You can't put plastic in there; it would melt.
Now some of them have like, they have coating, which is obviously the heat allows that to off gas, which is no good. But so if people want to find you, Eric, where's the best place?
Yeah, Instagram, my name, Eric Hinman, website, erichinman.com. And I love talking about this stuff, so please DM me. I respond to all DMs. I manage my Instagram account.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, I love interacting with people on these topics around health and wellness.
What if you so moving forward into this next year, are there any like projects you're excited about? Are there any new things coming up that you're excited to get your teeth into?
Yeah, I mean, retreats. I'm co-hosting two in Arizona with a company called Live Better out of Chicago, health and wellness retreats. And then I'm hosting one in Denver with a good buddy, Brian Mazza, called High Performance Lifestyle Training. That's in March. And then I'm planning a bunch myself, 1-day peak performance treats, and then multi-day like performance adventure recovery treats, but also building in personal branding. So we really want to help other people that want to build a personal brand with how I've built my personal brand, how my peers have built their personal brands, and then also how to work with companies.
Nice, awesome, man. Well, keep on doing what you're doing, Eric, because it's we need more people talking about health and wellness, and also doing it in a way that people can relate to. Because I know that sometimes it's like a hippie sort of feel to the natural health world, and it can throw people off. But seeing people like in shape, talking sense, and people that they can connect with is always a good thing. And putting brands out there that people can actually, that are doing good things for the world as well, is a great thing. So people can connect with them. So keep on doing what you're doing, my man. And I think definitely if I make my way over to Colorado, I'll definitely be giving you a shout.
Yeah, we got plenty of space here. Always happy to host like-minded people. So appreciate you having me on, and thanks for sharing these with the world.
No worries, my man.